Welcome to Pale Blue Pod, the astronomy podcast for people who are overwhelmed by the universe but still want to be its friend.
Yes, that's true. And I am Corinne Caputo, a writer and a funny person and friend to the universe.
You sure are. And a friend to me. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Moiya McTier. I'm an astrophysicist and a folklorist and good buddies with the universe.
Yeah.
I love it a lot, especially lately. I don't know. Something about the pre-autumn sky in the northern hemisphere has just been giving me a lot of feels about space recently.
Yeah, it does feel like, this is like cozy season and sky season, like evening sky season.
Yeah.
For me, definitely more so than summer.
Absolutely.
I love this time of year.
I know. When there's definitely valid complaints about life when it's dark at 4 p.m., but I also just love having more time with the night sky, so I'm not going to complain.
I like it too. I feel like I have more permission to, like, I don't know, not be productive when the sun's down. It's like, oh, well, now I can have fun.
I mean, historically, yes.
Yeah.
Like, these are the hibernation seasons. Yep. These are the lower activity seasons. But we're not quite there yet. We can still hold on to the last days of summer. That's why we are currently on a beach, just soaking in the last rays of more direct sunshine on a beach in Pensacola, Florida.
Pensacola. Never been.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. Yeah,
first time. It's a curvy beach. There are palm trees. After the sand, you move up from the water and you can encounter a line of palm trees. But it's a very peaceful sight.
It is really beautiful. There are two palm trees specifically that I love. And we'll get into why.
Two palm trees specifically, like, connected at the bottom, and then they arch away from each other. Yeah.
One leans, almost kisses the water.
We're trying to put a very specific image in your head, listeners, because this is literally a picture that you can look up. All right, let's just get into the topic of the episode because we're playing around with it a little bit here. But we told you last week that we're going to be watching the movie Contact, and surprise, surprise, Corinne and I did just that.
Yes, we did.
And perhaps in the summary of the movie, it will be revealed why we are on a beach in Pensacola, Florida.
I think it will.
But first, like, Corinne, is this your first? Have you seen this before?
No, I don't think I've ever seen this movie. If I did, I was a kid in, like, the late 90s and maybe watched it, but I had no memory of where the story was going, so there's a chance I've never seen this.
Oh my God, my mind is blown. Because to me, this is one of the, at least top 5, I think, like, science movies or astronomy movies.
Yeah, it definitely is up there. I'm surprised I haven't seen it too. A long time ago, I was writing some kind of alien spacey screenplay with my writing partner, and there are a lot of moments in that screenplay that are similar to these moments in Contact. So I'm like, I must have seen this, and, like, was digging out from some memory.
Right.
Yeah.
Did it live up to your expectations on what may have been your first time seeing it?
It really did. I thought it was great. I thought it was really fun. And, I mean, we can get into our peeves and thieves.
Right. I'm sure we will.
But I think it did.
Awesome. This is definitely not my first time seeing it. I think my first time was in high school. My chemistry teacher often didn't like teaching us chemistry, and so we watched a lot of movies, and one of them was Contact.
Yes.
And then I think I may have watched it again in college, but I haven't seen it since I was, like, a full-blown astrophysicist. I definitely haven't seen it since I, like, went to the VLA and stood on the dishes that you see in the background of some scenes in this movie. So it was really cool to watch it knowing what I know now. Yeah,
there were a lot of moments where I was wondering what you were thinking during that.
One day we have to watch these movies together.
I know. We'll do it live.
We will. Yeah. Ooh, fun.
I can give us a rundown of this movie.
Yes, I would love that. This 2.5 hour long movie.
It was so long. Okay, that is one of my peeves. It was long.
Fair enough. It's really long.
So hopefully this summary will be shorter than that. But I'll go quick. So it's directed by Robert Zemeckis, and it's based on a novel by Carl Sagan. And Carl Sagan and his wife, Anne Druyan, wrote an outline for this film before the book was published. like eventually development stalled, and then he published it as a book, and then development on the film resumed, which I feel like is how a lot of movies are getting made, where people are publishing like the book version of it, always wanting it to be a screenplay, and then eventually it gets made. But it stars Jodie Foster, Matthew McConaughey, a lot of other fun people, like Angela Bassett's in there, a very young Jenna Malone. We have we have a few lines from Rob Lowe and Jay Leno and like Larry King. Yeah.
We really do.
Okay, so it's about this scientist named Ellie Arroway, and it opens after a brief scene of like zooming through the galaxy on 9-year-old Ellie on her radio trying to contact anyone who's out there. And she gets in touch with someone in Pensacola, Florida. And she celebrates and marks it on her map, and we see this is the furthest she's ever reached. And her dad is watching her through all of this, and we can tell they're very close. And we learn her mother has passed away, so it's just her and her dad. And now we're in the future, and Ellie's an adult, a scientist, and she's working for the SETI program in the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico.
All right.
And we learn she's so enthusiastic about her work, but it's not respected work within the community, especially not by David Drumlin, the president's science advisor, where like he's just kind of an asshole. Yeah, he is an asshole.
Yeah, he's so Tom rude to her. Skerritt.
Yeah, yeah.
He's good at playing an asshole.
I know. I was so mad at him every time he was on screen.
That is like accurate by historical standards. People did not respect SETI research for a very long time.
Yeah, that tracks for me. Like it. I think it could easily be interpreted as like frivolous and whatever, but it, especially when you get like, you immediately love this character Ellie, so it's so annoying that it's an uphill battle for so much of this. But when she's in Puerto Rico, she meets Matthew McConaughey's character Palmer, and they flirt and they have a brief fling, and he leaves his number and she never calls him.
Stone cold.
I know.
She gotta respect it, actually.
She picks up the note with his number and then end the phone and calls somebody else. It's so funny.
Calls her research partner. Yeah. I died. I love that scene.
It was so funny. But on that phone call, she learns the program is being cut by David Drumlin, and she goes off after, being super pissed at him. She goes off to find funding of her own and to continue this research. And she makes this impassioned plea for money at Haddon Industries. Haddon
Industries. Yeah, and it's like a year and a half later, like it takes her that long.
Yes. It's clear she's been like working so hard. Also, I was thinking she's carrying like a huge portfolio and like a huge like sign. I'm like, oh my God, people used to have to do these pitches, these decks like with printed materials.
Right. No presentation.
Nothing, no Google Slides.
No
nothing.
Keynote.
But she makes this impassioned speech and she gets the money. She gets the money she wanted from the billionaire. And cut to 4 years later, she's continuing her work now in New Mexico at the Very Large Array.
Yes, she is. This movie is why I think the VLA is, I think I can safely say that it's like the famous, most famous telescope array.
It played a huge role in this movie.
Yeah.
It was really good PR. But there's one night where, she finds out from her research assistant that they're going to cut the program again. Or like they're
I don't think he's an assistant.
What is he? Is he a partner?
He's a fellow
researcher.
It's a law firm.
It's a law
he's
firm.
like a co-PI or he would be like a co-author on the paper. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to insult him. He is great. He's one of my favorite characters in the movie.
Yeah. The best.
But he kind of breaks the news that like funding is getting cut, and she thinks all hope is lost, and she's like out on her car and wearing her headphones, just doing like her regular listening, and she's picking up on an extremely fun sequence. And something's going on. And she makes this, like, kind of panicked call through the walkie-talkies. And it's this really fun series of scenes where she's rushing back to the offices and telling all of her team that there is something fun and strange coming in. And can they start recording it? And they realize pretty quickly that this is unusual. That it's, like, it's only kind of sending out prime numbers or, this sound in a prime numbers sequence. And it's clearly an intended sound.
Right.
And she immediately alerts like appropriate groups, including like international astronomers and people, to kind of get them to put their resources towards this too.
Right. She has to, because as David Drumlin very helpfully explains to the national security dude or whatever, due to the Earth's rotation, Vega isn't visible at all times of the day. So she actually has to get other astronomers from around the world to turn their telescopes to this source, which is the star Vega. And that way they can have continuous monitoring of the signal.
Yeah, it was funny when the security advisor is like, you shouldn't have told anyone. Like, this is a security risk. And it was like, well, what? You wouldn't have, if we didn't tell everyone, you would have been like, it would have been, anyway, that guy also annoyed me. And he's supposed to. But
Right.
Drumlin and the National Security Council, this guy's last name is Kitts. They try to immediately take over, like, the facility. And Ellie, in a moment I loved, kind of shows that she is the best person to be interpreting all this. And they, you know, kind of resign and let her keep going and figuring this out. But they learn that hidden inside this, like, signal is Hitler's opening address at the 1936 Summer Olympics in Berlin, which is scary, sure. And at first they're like, what, is this some kind of threat? Like, why are they transmitting this? But Ellie and her team are like, this is the first broadcast that would have been strong enough to leave and travel to Vega and come back.
Yeah, that was one of Carl Sagan's big concerns, actually, that he was really worried that that was the first emissary, pretty much, from humanity. I think since then we've figured out that the message, though strong enough to technically go into deep space, wasn't really strong enough to be, like, received in a proper way. So I think we talked about, I like mentioned this in passing in our Medi episode, but yeah, it's a ridiculous little factoid that is the first thing we've sent out.
I remembered us talking about it, and I was like, oh yes, okay, I should have been primed for this. But
right.
It was shocking. Right. But they learn that, like, layered into that transmission is like 63,000 pages of data that needs to be decoded. And Ellie and her team are struggling to figure it out. And the billionaire meets with Ellie privately, and it turns out he knows everything about her. And he tells her how to solve it. And the data reveals blueprints for this complicated machine that Ellie believes to be some kind of transport machine for a person to go somewhere undefined. But ideally, it would, you know, be taking them towards whoever sent this message.
But like the instructions for how to build the machine don't say what the machine is for. So there's a lot of speculation, and Ellie really does just hope that it's a transport machine.
Yes, and like the security guy is obviously like, we could be building some kind of thing that will destroy us all, or will immediately beam in every, you know, violent alien or something. But Ellie explains to the government what she thinks it is, and during that, you know what happens? Palmer, Matthew McConaughey's character, walks in, and at long last they're reunited. And they're still flirty, but he's religious, and she is science. And
yes, that is the big dichotomy.
Yeah. And
but he's a very rational religious, and she's a very, like, open to wonder.
They
science.
are complementary in that way, where he's not, like, preaching, but he is. His mission is more to keep people open. Of like, we don't know. They have the same goal, which is like, we don't know what's out there, so let's stay open minded and, like, do the research. But they bond again. There's like I keep calling it a ball. They go to a ball where
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a ball.
Was a ball.
She needs a nice dress, and she asks Angela Bassett where she can get a nice dress.
I was like, and with that scene, it passes the Bechdel test. But she gets a great dress. She goes to this ball. She looks amazing. As she's heading into it, outside is a bunch of protesters, because the whole world knows about this alien transmission. And there's been a lot of different responses to it, including, like, some religious protests. And there's this one specific creepy blonde guy that she sees, and she had seen him earlier, and he's just bad news. But she goes to the ball, and Ellie and Palmer, they have, like, a romantic moment. And during that, everyone agrees that it is blueprints to a machine that could transport a person. So
right, because they combed through all the data, and they found an image of what looks like a little human waving inside the machine waving.
Yes, and I was like, okay, universal symbol is like a person with one hand up. Like,
but, like, doesn't this just remind you so much of what Carl Sagan and Frank Drake and like that ilk put into the Pioneer plaque and the Golden Record. It's like they made this movie assuming that aliens did what we did.
What we did, exactly.
So cute.
It was very cute. I was like, that's the universal symbol for person, is like this outline of, and they like knew what humans looked like. Yeah. I mean, I guess they had seen the address, but anyway, multiple nations now come together to provide funding for the construction of this machine, and it's built at the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral. And simultaneously, an international panel is put together to select a candidate to go inside. Ellie is a top contender, and Palmer is a member of the panel. So she and him, like, kind of pause their flirtatious relationship as, you know, they are deciding who should go inside.
It's good ethics.
Yeah, I thought that was really nice of them. And she is up for getting kind of questioned to see if she's the top contender. And Palmer brings up her atheism, which is a moment I really hated. And she kind of is firm in her answer of like, I don't know, and like, I'm not gonna tell you I'm religious when I'm not. But that is a factor in the decision committee, and they're like, you know, 95% of people in the world believe in some type of God or something. So ultimately, the panel selects her mortal enemy, Drumlin.
Who just tells the panel exactly what they want to hear.
Exactly.
He's doing his little final speech or whatever. I bet he hadn't mentioned God a single time, but he just slides it in as sleazy as it is. He's like, and as a God-fearing man, no.
I hated that. I hated it so much.
And he wins for it.
And
I mean, ultimately not, but
ultimately not, but we'll get there. He gets selected for the panel. He's apparently the best representation of humanity, and now it's time for the first the first launch. Ellie's in the room. Drumlin's like gearing up to take off, and Ellie's looking at a screen, and she sees that creepy religious man again, and he is in a blue jumpsuit, and he snuck into the launch, and she's quick to call him out. And they start, you know, enabling some safety protocols. But it turns out the creepy religious guy has a bomb strapped to himself. And he explodes part of the machine, killing Drumlin and some other people. And it is tragic and dark.
It's so tragic, but it's really like 3 minutes of the movie.
Yes.
It happens, and they like wipe their hands and they're done with it.
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, a lot of people just died.
A lot of people died. A lot of money was just wasted. And you're about to say what they do next, but it's bonkers to me that they just smoothed over that whole sequence of events.
I kept thinking the whole movie of like, what if this was happening? Like, what if this was on the news right now?
Right.
Like, that would be so crazy and so kind of world pausing. I don't know.
Well, you say that, but then we have the pandemic and the Titanic and all the wildfires and everything, and no one's paying attention to anything.
Yeah.
But this was 1997. Like, people weren't as used to it.
That's why I'm like, this was like monoculture. Like, this is the only thing you're watching. But maybe people were just so excited because, okay, so hope is lost, it seems, but billionaire swoops in again. And it turns out he secretly built a second machine in Japan, and Ellie, the only American remaining... Okay, this is a moment I hate, and I'll bring it up later. But he's like, it needs to be an American who goes on. And it was like, okay. I was like, I think she's the best candidate because she discovered all of this, but sure, okay. And like, she decides to go. She'll go on the second version of the machine. Palmer, in this time, confesses that he didn't want her to go on the mission originally because he has a crush on her, which is the most insane thing I've ever heard. And it did save her life, but that is a big no.
Big no.
You don't do that.
That's not what she wanted.
No, exactly. Anyway, Ellie becomes the astronaut, the traveler, and during the launch, she's in the seat. She witnesses some crazy stuff, like in her pod, and she goes through what she calls wormholes, and she sees signs of like a huge civilization on a planet, like city lights and she sees like a multi-star system, and she eventually, she kind of gently drifts down and finds herself on a beach. And it looks just like the drawing she made of Pensacola in the beginning of the movie.
That's where we are.
And that's just where we are. So she's on the sandy shore. There's like the palm trees that like one's leaning over and one's standing up. And then the sky isn't like an Earth sky. It's like, so, you know, you're full view of a huge galaxy or swirl or something. Mm-hmm. And a figure starts to walk towards her, and it's her dad. And she recognizes him as an alien, but he's like taken the form of her dad. And they hug, and he says he's missed her, and he's sorry he couldn't be there, and I cried. And he
It's touching.
It is really touching. And he explains that humanity contacted, like, they got the transmissions from humans, decided that they were a species, like, worthy of being shown into the cosmos, and they transmitted the stuff that Ellie received, though they did not invent it, and they don't know who did. And I thought that was fun.
They didn't invent the like,
machine
system of travel.
Yeah, they did not invent the machine.
Yeah. Well,
but
I actually wasn't as clear on that. I got the sense that they might have invented the machine, but that the transit way that the machine passed through was built by someone else. Because that's a kind of common thing in science fiction where, like, you know, the Stargates are here, and we don't know who built them, but we use the Stargates.
We use them.
Or, like, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But yeah, so this science is not defined or, you know, identified as like who did this first. But she has this amazing experience with this alien father figure, and it's implied that there is more to come. Like, you can see more, you can learn more, you can travel more, but like you've done the first step, and that is important. And she travels back to Earth, and everyone is like, oh my God, are you okay? What's been going on? You were gone for 4 minutes, and your pod dropped straight down into the safety net. It didn't do anything. It never went anywhere. And she kind of comes to, and she's like, you know, I was gone for hours. What day is it? I had, you know, she had this whole experience, but her recording devices only picked up static. So every amazing thing she saw was like not, you know, recorded. It's only in her head. And she's eventually questioned during congressional committee headed by Kitts, who thinks that the machine was a hoax created by the billionaire. Ellie kind of requests that the committee accepts her testimony on faith. And while her experience / testimony like can't be proven scientifically, it has had a huge effect on her. And obviously Palmer responds well to that. And then later there's a scene where, in a private conversation in the White House, I assume, Rachel, Angela Bassett's character, reveals in a talk with Kitts that Ellie's recording device recorded for 18 hours.
It was static, but it was 18 hours of static, which makes me think, like, this man Kitts, saw some of the footage of the static. Like, he played a video of static. Did he not notice that the video he played in that brief amount of time to show Ellie that it was just static was itself longer than the amount of time it would take the pod to drop to the sea?
Yeah,
like clearly there was more data there.
I took it as like he decided that wasn't important.
Okay.
Like, based on his questioning, I took it to mean that he knew the whole time, because when she brought it up, when Angela Bassett's character brought it up to him, he was like, go on. It didn't seem like it was new info to him. It was just like the first time somebody was like, you saw this too, right? I don't know. Either way, he sucks.
Yeah, like either he's stupid or he's malicious. And I want neither of them in my national security professionals, you know?
But Palmer tells Ellie he believes in her, and they have a cute moment. And then Ellie gets more funding for SETI at the VLA, and she teaches a little class. She listens to, you know, The Sky Alone, and supposedly they live happily ever after.
Yeah. She gets very close to that child at the end where she's answering questions on a VLA tour.
Yeah. And that in the end.
It's kind of like a very open-ended.
Yes.
And like it's not a neatly wrapped up narrative.
No.
You don't leave with a lot of closure.
You leave with like what this character wanted, which was just to know that something was out there. It wasn't like what is out there. It was kind of like a new lease on seeking info. But it did lay the groundwork to me for some kind of sequel. And maybe 1997 wasn't the year we were like trying to make sequels out of everything. But like today, that would have immediately been like, we're making a second one of these.
All right. We're not going to discuss this anymore until after the strikes. But when those strikes are over and the WGA and SAG have their deals, we're making this movie. Because I also really want a sequel. Because to me, the most interesting thing is what happens after. Because I would personally be infuriated if I knew for a fact that aliens were real and there were like advanced civilizations and networks of civilizations out there, and no one believed me, like the Cassandra effect of it all, I would go insane.
Yeah, same, 100%.
What do you mean you don't believe me?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Hi friends, Moiya here. Corinne was a little disappointed that we haven't been approached by any aliens pretending to be our dead relatives, so she went to splash in the waves. But that means that I have time to share some messages with you. First, Corinne and I are so excited to be nearing our 50th episode, almost a whole year of Pale Blue Pod. Can you believe it? I almost can't. But we are going to celebrate it anyway, and to do so, we are putting together a special AMA episode. For those of you who aren't always online, that's Ask Me Anything. We want to answer your burning questions about space, the universe, and our relationship with it. So if you have a question, please email palebluepodcast@gmail.com, or you can message us on Instagram or the app formerly known as Twitter. Our handle is PaleBluePod on both. We can't wait to hear from you, and it'll be really nice after almost a year of talking into these microphones to an audience that we didn't really know was there to actually answer questions from you so that we know you're hearing something you're actually interested in. So again, message us palebluepodcast@gmail.com or on the socials at PaleBluePod. Next, I would love to say thank you to all of our amazing patrons who support the show every month on Patreon. So thank you, as always, to our sun-like stars, Sharn Llewellyn, Lissa, and Peyton. You're incredible. You're amazing. You are the exact right mass for life like us. Actually, that's not true. F stars might be a little bit better, but that's neither here nor there. And I also see that two of our patrons, Leilani Lumen and Augustin, have made the switch to an annual membership. So thank you so much, Leilani Lumen and Augustin. Annual memberships are really great for us because we can count on a whole year of support up front without any variability from month to month. And they're great for you because you get a 13% discount, 1% for every constellation in the zodiac if you spread it out over the whole year. You too can support us. You can hear your name on the pod, and you can make it to our patron star chart, which you can find on our website, all by supporting us on Patreon for just about $1 per episode, even less if you sign up for an annual membership. So you can find that star chart, Patreon info, and more at palebluepod.com, or go right to patreon.com/palebluepod if you already know you want to support us financially. And if that's not something you can do, that's totally fine. You are still space. We still love you. So does the universe. There are other ways that you can support us and help Pale Blue Pod grow. You can support us by reviewing the show and rating it on whatever app you use, or you can share the show with your friends. That is actually the most effective way to help a podcast grow. Take your favorite episode and send it to someone who you think would love it as much as you did. All right, that's enough about us and our podcast. I would like to recommend another show for you, of course, coming from the Multitude Collective. That is the group of indie podcasts that Pale Blue Pod is a part of. And the show that I want to recommend is called Join the Party. It is an actual play podcast with tangible worlds, genre-pushing storytelling, and collaborators who make each other laugh each week. The Dungeon Master, or Game Master, is named Eric Silver, and he is joined by emphatic players Amanda, Brandon, and Julia, who want to welcome everyone to the table. They are interested in hearing from longtime TTRPG players, so people who know about tabletop role-playing games, but they also want to bring new people into the fold, people who have never touched a role-playing game before. You can hop into their current campaign, which is a really cool kind of home-brewed, they made the world themselves, a pirate story set in a world of plant and bug folk, or you can marathon their completed stories. They have the Campaign, which is a Monster of the Week game set in a weird summer camp. Their second campaign was a modern superhero game, and their first was a high fantasy story for people who like the classics. And once a month, they also release the After Party, where they answer your questions about the show and how they play the game, which is really great for people who aren't familiar with the mechanics of role-playing games, like D&D, for example. So what are you waiting for? Pull up a chair and join the party. You can search for Join the Party in your favorite podcast app or go to jointhepartypod.com. That link is in this episode's description. All right, Corinne is coming back. I'm going to let her dry off a little bit, and then we will get back to talking about Contact, perhaps one of astronomy's most successful Hollywood films. Yeah, great job. 2.5 hours in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm getting better. It's hard. I want to say every detail.
I know. There's so much in this. There's so many little details, but that is what the Peeves and Thieves section is for. Because now we can dive deeper into the things that we really liked and the things that we wish had never cursed our eyes by being put on a screen in front of us. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, we are, as always, going to start with our peeves, the things that we hated about this movie, and how it was made and what it said. So, Corinne, would you like to start with your first?
Yes. My first peeve was Bill Clinton. And boy, do we see a lot of Bill Clinton clips that have been like composited and repurposed, because at first I was like, there's no way they actually got Bill Clinton to say this, but like we didn't really have the tech to be like deep faking stuff the way we can now. But it turns out there was a Mars rock found in Alaska, I think, and Clinton gave a speech in like August of '96, and they used clips from that speech for Contact. And like he literally says something like, "We will continue to listen closely to what it has to say."
Yeah.
And they were like, perfect, we're putting that in the movie.
I love that. I love when movies use actual news clips of
that I
public figures. Yeah.
This one felt so weird because I was like, I know this isn't real, but why is this here?
Right.
It was almost too good. But I know that they had originally wanted an actor to play Sidney Poitier for the president, and then he couldn't do it. And then they just got they got the real Bill Clinton.
Oh, you know all the behind the scenes stuff.
I was like, I gotta get to the bottom of this.
Oh, I love that. Awesome. Okay, your first peeve is Bill Clinton, like actual news footage of Bill Clinton. Was it just overused, or any of it at all was too much for you?
I think it just felt like fake to me. Like what? Like I would rather the whole movie be like the Larry King interview was clearly shot for the movie, but the Bill Clinton scenes weren't, and I didn't love that mix.
Like, just get another actor if you're gonna do that.
Yeah, I think hire an actor to be the president. Or I don't think it needed it.
It didn't. You're right. Yeah. I think they were almost flexing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, look what we can do. Yeah.
And the White House did send them a letter after the movie came out that was like, that was not okay.
Really?
Yeah, but it didn't have any like action in the letter, apparently. It wasn't like a cease and desist. It was just like, no.
How is it not okay, though? It's like public domain image of a public figure.
I think they were saying that the way that they used it implies like endorsement. Or like the way that it was used was not clear enough. Like it implied Bill Clinton was talking about aliens, but he was talking about Mars.
They're so like sensitive.
But apparently the White House got a screener for the movie and never said anything until after it came out. Yeah.
Well, then that's on them. And who among us is surprised that the Clinton administration didn't have time to watch a movie?
Yeah, they were like a 2.5 hour movie.
2.5, yeah. They had other things going on. All right. My first peeve is that phone call that we both love, where it looks like Ellie's going to call Palmer, and then she calls Kent, her co-PI, and he tells her that they lost time on Arecibo, so they have to go and buy time on the VLA. They say we're going to find funding so that we can buy time on the VLA, and I just don't think that's a thing you can do. Like we talked about this in the last episode. There's a call for proposals. There's some director discretionary time. I suppose you could bribe the director for discretionary time, but unless there's an unsavory side of the VLA time allocation committee that I am not aware of, I don't think that's a thing you can do.
Interesting. I was curious about that. I guess I just assumed that to do a proposal you needed funding or something.
No, you write proposals to get funding or time.
Interesting.
You do not pay for time on these publicly funded telescopes.
Yeah. It's easier to explain to the audience if they say that. The people can understand money.
I mean, I can see you get funding so that you can support the research.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's what they meant. Not that they're buying time, but that they are, like, paying for their salaries while they do those 4 years of research at the VLA.
Sure.
I don't know.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that is weird.
But it bothered me.
That moment bothered me because I was like, oh, God, this poor person. They're starting again from the beginning.
It would suck. And that happens often in research, so at least that was realistic.
Okay, my next peeve was the moment when, the billionaire reveals there's been a second machine that was secretly built, and he said they still want an American to go. And I'm like, who's they and why? Like, why are we deciding that it needs to be an American?
Right.
The Japanese built the second machine secretly. I'm like, if anything, that gives them, like, right to send, like, someone they know.
There's this clip at the beginning of the construction phase for the machine where they're talking about all of the different countries that are providing funding, and they say that Japan has foregone consideration for a crew member in favor of the lucrative subcontract deal. They say that in a news clip, and it is implied that, like, Japan got a shit ton of money to build the second one in secret, the subcontractors. And either it was a stipulation in that deal, or for, like, the optics, like, they don't want a Japanese person dying on this machine that they built secretly for the Americans. I can see why the Japanese built, like, constructors would want an American on it.
That makes sense. Okay, that does make sense.
But it is annoying.
Yeah, it's so
like,
annoying.
That's always how it goes.
And so much of the movie is about, like, deciding on who the perfect person is to represent humanity, that there's something about it being an American that's like, wait, that can't be right. Like, I don't think so.
Statistically speaking, no.
I don't think we're doing it the best of everyone.
But even if you were, like, trying to get a representative person, like, it wouldn't be a young American woman. It would be probably, like, an older Asian woman.
Yeah, like, it just wouldn't be.
I don't know. It wouldn't be one of us.
I think that also there's no perfect, like, I don't know who I'm imagining, but what are the odds that it's Jodie Foster? Unless they're going off like, hey, you discovered this whole thing. We think you're the most qualified.
Right.
Which is true. Anyway.
Oh, yes. Anyway, my next peeve is the scene where they like, hear the signal. And she's driving around, and she says that she is moving the dishes.
Right.
We all know from the last episode that the only thing capable of moving the physical dish is a giant multi-ton transporter machine that moves a couple inches a minute,
Yeah.
Not her in her car. So the only other thing she could possibly mean is that she is slewing the dishes, making the dishes turn to point to a different part of the sky. But that also doesn't make sense, because you do that from the control room.
Huh.
So, like, her driving around saying she's moving the dishes really, really bothered me. Also, real quick, the listening thing. It is valid. You can listen to data, but you cannot listen to the live data from the telescopes. Like, if the telescopes are making that observation right then, this interferometer telescope that needs to be, like, the data needs to be processed and managed in a very specific and computationally expensive way. She cannot just listen to that data through headphones.
No, that's why I thought that too. And I was also like, there's no way that my brain could do this for more than 5 minutes if I'm listening to just white noise and, like, searching for something in that white noise. So I was impressed by that. But okay, I believe you if it's not possible.
No, I want to be very careful. You can sonify data after it has been taken and processed and put into an audio waveform. Yeah. Like, I'm going to get to this in my thieves, but that's why I love her research. Like, her coworker Kent, her colleague Kent, he's blind, and, like, the only way that he goes through data is by sonifying it and listening to the waveforms.
And he was the best at it.
He was the best. But listening to live data from the telescope taken, like, in that moment, no, it needs to be processed first.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It also gave so many people who watch that movie the wrong impression that radio astronomy is like sound waves.
Yes,
so many people
it did.
think that you listen to the data because of this movie, and that's just unfortunate.
Yeah. I get it. Okay, I only have one more peeve, which is that maybe this is a mini peeve. Okay, first a mini peeve. When she's driving down the road in the scene you just described, she is turning the wheel so much. Like, she is just going back and forth with the wheel as if she's, like, dodging, like, little... Like, it's a video game. Like, you're dodging little blasters or something. And I was like, this is an insane way to drive. Like, I can tell you're driving as an actor because your car is moving down the road. Like...
oh my God. As someone who has never driven a car, I didn't notice that, but good catch, Corinne. See, this is why you need people with lots of different lived experiences checking your media.
Exactly. And I was like, maybe that is part of this, or I don't know how they rigged this car. It was an old car, too, so there's a chance the car needed that much attention, but I did turn to my husband and I was like, is that how you drive? Like, I don't drive either. I can, but I don't. I'm a passenger princess in that way. Yeah, I was like, that can't be right. Okay, and then my actual peeve.
Okay.
My actual peeve is that, and I know this was the point of the movie, or at least it's one of the big questions being posed by the film, but just making it clear where I stand, the idea that even for a moment you have to believe in God to be worthy of going to space is so crazy to me. Or like, the idea that you have to believe in anything to do this thing you've always wanted to do is not good.
Yeah. Dude, atheism was illegal for a long time.
It's so nuts.
Yeah. I remember growing up as a kid in rural Pennsylvania, a very conservative, like pretty religious part of the country, and I had a lot of things working against me, right?
Yeah,
but one of the things was that I was openly atheist, and that was a big no-no. Like, it's harder to imagine now in 2023, but, like, God had such a hold on culture.
God had on culture.
Yeah. For sure.
I mean, I was raised Catholic, and when this movie came out, I was attending, like, not Catholic regular school, but like after school Catholic things. Oh, wow. And even then I remember being like, I don't know if I believe any of this, but like, I'm going to this class. Like, I don't know. I just remember being like, I'm not going to tell you how I really feel, but it's nice to see my friends every Wednesday.
I love my neighbors.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this. What do you have any more peeves?
Oh, of course I do. Yes. So starting with the government officials who think that the message couldn't have possibly been sent by an advanced being because it didn't communicate in English.
Oh my God. That is such a peeve. I'm hopping on that peeve too. When he turns and he's like, why didn't they say English? And I was like, that is the stupidest man in the world. I can't believe they got that man in this room.
Yeah. I don't need to go on about that, although I could. But yeah, the rage that popped into my head in that scene. The fact that Haddon, while he's floating on Mir to, I guess, like keep his cancer at bay, which it turns out like might actually be a real thing.
Oh, that's cool.
But he calls it zero. He says this low oxygen, zero gravity environment is the only thing keeping the cancer from eating me alive. Bitch.
Yeah.
It's not zero gravity.
Yeah, that was a big thing at the Space Center. It was like, there's no such thing as zero gravity. Like, you're just in free fall. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a minor peeve. Also, just in general, Haddon, weird, fascinating guy. And I feel like, had you seen this before, you definitely would have modeled your astronaut training billionaire.
Oh my God,
him,
I really would have.
He was wacky.
Okay, also, there's a moment where he looked like the guy from Six Flags commercials. When he's in when he's floating to cure his cancer, and he's on that video chat, and he's really close to frame, and I was like, oh my God, that's the guy from the Six Flags commercials.
He does look like the Six Flags grandpa. You're right. I just want to know what the hell security was doing at Cape Canaveral when the creepy blonde guy got through.
Yes.
Like, this is all of humanity's greatest endeavor ever. And security's just letting anyone in.
Also, he was making himself known before those moments. Like, he was at the facility. Like, she had seen him twice before, so
yeah.
There's
publicly,
certainly,
like he was vocally against this on the news.
And our current day FBI, CIA, whatever, like, they track people. They know what people look like. Like, certainly they would have, I assume, picked up on him, but maybe I'm putting too much faith in it.
No. I guess probably not, actually.
I was just like, why is that guy here?
Yeah. And why is she the only one who recognizes him?
And then now it justifies Matthew McConaughey's stupid choice to say that you shouldn't have gone on that mission.
I know. Another big peeve, I think, is the love story.
Yeah.
The love story between Ellie and Palmer, not in the book.
Oh,
not
interesting.
necessary.
Not in the book. Mm-mm. Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah. It's because, like, big American studios can't imagine a movie being a success, especially if it's, led by a woman without a romantic interest. So that sucks. But then my last peeve is at the end when she is going through the wormhole and she sees all of the beautiful things in space that the alien is trying to show her. She sees a star and she calls it Vega, like that bright blue star that she first sees. She calls it Vega. I don't know how she knew it was Vega. Like, that's an educated guess on her part, because you can't just look at a star and know which one it is.
Yeah, that's fair. She did say that, and I was like, well, I believe you. Mm-hmm. I'm very good at not asking questions when I've decided someone's the authority, which is not a good habit, but I'm like, okay.
It's fine. You're saving your own brain labor for later.
To worry about something as I try to fall asleep. Like, my brain's best used on anxiety.
Before we move on to our thieves, the things that we really loved, I had 2 observations, and they're just neutral observations. The first is that they needed rockets to launch to get the big ring in the device moving. Did you notice that? They literally launched 2 rockets that then landed somewhere else in Florida.
Interesting. There was some kind of thrust thing that I didn't clock.
But it was just for that one ring. Like, the other rings started mechanically, and then those 2 needed to be, I guess it was a really big ring. So I just thought that was an interesting detail that they added. And then second, right after the device is really going and it's at 100%. Did you notice that things started bending towards it, like the ship? And all of the waves
got pulled towards, like magnetic. Yeah.
And I noticed that, and I was wondering if it is magnetic or if it was gravitational, because the waves, it seemed like they might have also been bending towards it. I don't know.
I didn't know what that was either. I liked it. I liked that whatever it was like, this thing is so powerful that everything is getting drawn to it.
Yeah. So thieves. Corinne, what did you love?
Okay, first thing I loved, that scene with young Ellie running to get the medicine, and it transitions really beautifully from a young Ellie. She's running upstairs to get her dad's medicine, and it looks like the camera's tracking in front of her and she's running towards you, and then it very seamlessly transitions to her. That was the point of view of the reflection in the mirror, and she opens the medicine cabinet. It was just a really slick, cool transition, and this movie had a lot of visual effects, and that one was my favorite. I didn't really the other stuff was so kind of par for the course for a sci-fi movie, but that one felt so kind of cinematic, and the engineering that probably went into executing that. I need a 1 hour behind the scenes on how they did that scene.
I love that you noticed that. 'Cause I thought it was cool, but it didn't really stand out to me in that way. But that was a really nice shot.
How would you do that? How do you make that? If that's your idea, I'm I could never. I think that's what it was. It was I would never think of that.
I'll piggyback on that thief and add that the casting choice for young Ellie, I think, was spot on.
Oh my God.
They really did look very similar.
She looks, especially when you first see older Ellie, you've only seen younger Ellie, and then it goes to adult Jodie Foster, and you're like, what? That is the same person.
Yeah. They magicked her older,
Really cool.
Yeah. So my first official thief is the very opening sequence of the movie where you zoom out from Earth out into deep space and you're hearing different radio transmissions. And if you pay close attention, as you move further away, the transmissions get older and older, so that by the time you're the furthest out, you're hearing something from 1914, some radio broadcast, and then it's totally silent. The scale, not correct.
I figured. I meant to ask you about that. I was like, there's no way that's right.
The 1914 line is said when you're clearly out to galaxy level of the zoom. So it's not to scale, but I think that it's just a beautiful illustration of the impetus for this movie, which is, it's taking time for our messages to get out into space, but they are going.
And also, it was so good at showing you the scale, not even to scale of space, but just setting the stage for let's remember that this is so big and there is so much quote empty space between planets and then between galaxies and then between everything else. And I thought that was a really nice setup.
Yeah. Right. What's your next thief?
Okay, so when the government arrives after Ellie first notices the transmission and finally the army is here for whatever reason, and they immediately want to militarize it, but then she very quickly is able to kind of direct her team to do other things, and she's ignoring the government entirely, which I loved, and just kind of very expertly and swiftly demonstrates to the room that she is the most capable person here. I love that moment.
Yeah, the moment where Kits is talking to her and she just full on ignores him and goes to talk to Kent.
Yes,
the power in that.
I loved that.
I was a big fan.
And he just stares at her from behind. I love that.
In disbelief.
Yes.
Totally flabbergasted. Love it. I love flabbergasting white dudes in positions of power. It's so fun.
It was awesome. Especially because guy sucks and keeps sucking throughout the movie.
Yeah. All right, my next thief is that there are so many accurate references to actual space things. They reference the black hole in M87, which we now have actually taken a picture of, even before we took a picture of our own supermassive black hole in the Milky Way. They mentioned specific pulsars. The first time she hears a signal and she asks her team to check, it's actually just a pulsar. And she's like, oh, well, its period must be off, maybe a star quake or something. A star quake is a real thing. It's when the crust of a neutron star shifts a little bit, so it creates this cascade of effects that changes the brightness and the pulsing pattern. So she referenced a real thing. They mentioned the L band, which is a specific range of wavelengths that you might observe at a radio facility like the VLA, and they were all really accurate, and that made me happy. They also mentioned Janskis. And I know we've talked about Carl Jansky on the pod before. He's the father of radio astronomy, but he has a unit named after him, the Jansky, plural Janskis with a Y, and it is only used in radio astronomy because it refers to very weak signals. But they say that the signal that they're getting from Vega is 112 Janskis, and people who know a lot about radio astronomy would hear that and know that it's it's strong. The strongest radio sources in our galaxy are only 100 Janskis.
Oh, fun.
So they referenced this little-known unit. They got it right. And, of course, they did because they're working from Carl Sagan's work. Yeah. And, it's exciting. The unit itself, the Jansky, is a unit of flux density. So it's power per area per hertz, per the frequency that you're using.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Okay, there's a moment I really loved with, again, the two guys, Drumlin and Kits, are want to take over this operation, and Angela Bassett's character, Rachel, shuts them down and is like, Ellie is in charge. She discovered this. She will be handling this. And I loved it, especially because so much of what we've seen up until now is Ellie on this uphill battle to get respect for her research, and then the moment there's some traction, these people come in and claim credit. So I just love that one of the only other female characters is no, I see right through you. Ellie's gonna keep going here.
Good.
It was great.
Great moment. I think I'm going to throw my last thief over to Kent.
Yes.
Kent is Ellie's colleague, perhaps her co-PI on all of these observing proposals that they've put together. And he is a blind astronomer. I don't know if the actor is blind.
I don't know either.
But Kent is a blind astronomer, and I love that shout out. I love that representation, because a lot of people think of astronomy as a site-based science, but it really is not. There are real blind astronomers working today. Dr. Wanda Diaz-Merced is a blind astronomer at Harvard, or at least she was when I was there. There are efforts from NASA and other space science organizations to sonify data, like take the light waves that we see from stars, and you can just play those light waves through like a sonophone, like through something that plays sound, and as long as you like adjust the pitches, like you can hear this data. That's a whole project
that's so
that
cool.
NASA's doing. So I like that they showed that side of astronomy.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And he was the best character, and he was so good at it, which was also great. Like, he really was Ellie's best friend.
Kent saved the mission. He saved the day at the 100%. End where in the second machine, Ellie's about to go, but there's a strong vibration. I think the vibration is because the machine wasn't meant to have like a pod. Like, they're just meant to drop a person in.
Drop.
So I think because once she was detached from the seat, there was no vibration anymore.
And the pod like sucked up, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's this intense vibration, and whoever was in charge of the mission almost aborted it, and then Kent is like, no, I can hear her. She's saying she's okay to go.
Yes.
Because he has better hearing than everyone else.
He can hear her. I know. I did tear up at that moment, too. Yeah. I was watching this late at night, and very just... The veil between me not crying and crying was so thin. Like, every moment I was like, another moment.
This movie does that to you.
It does. Yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. Yeah. Well, then I think it's time to score this movie on our rubric. We have 5 different categories for those of you who have not joined us on a movie review episode before. We will be scoring this movie on its story, on its scenery, which is writing plus production, on its steaminess, on its scientific accuracy, and on its soothing factor. Does it make us feel better about space? And in each of these categories, it can get as much as 3 things. Instead of rating it out of stars every time, we switch it up. So I'm thinking, because the VLA is so important to the story, maybe out of VLA dishes.
I love that.
Okay. So we're going to determine, out of 15, how many VLA dishes does the movie Contact get? So story, Corinne.
I liked the story. I don't think I loved it.
Yeah. I think it's a little too long. This doesn't need to be 2.5 hours.
No, I think especially the first 45 minutes was slow. And then I was like, let's go. But it took a little while. But I think also the story as a whole, I felt like I like this, but I'm not walking away like that was the greatest story of all time.
Yeah. I would like to ding some points because of the romance line, that they added from the book just to make it like a blockbuster hit type thing.
Yeah.
So I would give it at most a 2.
I was going to say it's probably a 2 for me.
It's a 2. Okay, great. What about scenery, writing plus production? The script and like the visuals of it. I personally loved.
I think they did a really good job. And we were never in, like, with the exception of that almost final scene, like, we were always in a real place. Like, if this was happening, this is where these conversations would be happening. Which I really liked. I
can't even tell that anymore. Like, I
can't
gauge that at all.
Like, they weren't, I don't know, some kind of, like, why would the president be there? It was kind of normal. And I really liked the world they built out around it. Of like, you can tell that this is what everyone's talking about. All the news is talking about this. Everyone is forming an opinion. And people are coming out of the woodwork to be the authority on this. So I thought that was really fun. And it felt really big and important.
Yeah. I think it looked gorgeous. From the opening sequence with that zoom out shot of space, the shots that they had that were clearly meant to inspire awe in the cosmos did that because they were working. I mean, this movie came out like 7 years after Hubble launched. So like for the first time, a few years before this movie was made, we're seeing beautiful pictures of space. And you can tell that they took advantage of that in this movie. It, like, all the space shots look really good, and the writing is great. Of course it is. It's based on a Carl Sagan book, but like some of the lines in this movie are beautiful. The scene where Ellie is in the capsule and she's looking out at some astronomical phenomena, I think she calls it. She's so overwhelmed by its beauty. She, like, all she can say over and over again is, it's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. They should have sent a poet. And
and she kept saying, I have no words, which I loved, because I was like, that is a feeling I have.
So I think it nailed it, and I would like to give it a 3.
I'm in for that.
All right. Steaminess.
Ugh. I did not feel steamy here. Not at all.
I think the romance took away, like, it did technically add steaminess, but it made me feel less steamy about the movie. This movie gets me less hot because they forced Ellie Arroway to fall in love with a priest, and I don't like it.
I don't like it, and I also just don't think these two people had chemistry.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even fun. Yeah. It was just kind of, like, weird.
So, like, 0.
0. I was going to say, can we go as low as a 0? Unfortunately, it is a 0.
Look, I was considering negative.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to harm it with a negative, but I do think it's a 0.
It's a 0.
It's the floor.
Scientific accuracy.
Seemed like it was mostly good compared to other things we've seen.
Dude, I took notes of all of the specific frequencies that they referenced, the way that they dug into the message from aliens. There's a main message at this one frequency, but if you listen, there are harmonics, and that's another one of the Kent revelations, that there are harmonics. So what harmonics means is that you have a signal at a multiple integer of the first frequency. So the first frequency is at 4.46 gigahertz. And they say that that's the hydrogen centimeter, 21 centimeter line times pi, so like whatever. But the first frequency is at 4.46 gigahertz. So they know that at twice that, at like 9 point whatever gigahertz, there will be another signal. And that's where they look to find the video from the Berlin Olympics.
Yes.
But then they also notice that there's more information there than it takes to actually encode that video from the Olympics. So they notice that there's other information embedded in, like, this alternate frame rate. And just the way that they explained that, I thought was really good for a movie. And, one of my thieves was all of the references to actual space stuff. So I think it knocked it out of the park for me.
It did a great job. I'm in for a 3 if you are.
I'm in for a 3. Hell yeah, dude. All right. Soothing. Do you feel soothed after watching this movie?
I actually do.
Wow.
Because I think that it was an optimistic ending. And it was like what Ellie always wanted, which is like, we're not alone in the universe. I'm not alone. And there's more to learn. And I'm going to keep trying to learn it. It was scary to think that there is, a machine that can send me through a wormhole and I will end up on this mystical beach and, like, not know what if I'm talking to my dad or an alien. But I think it was hopeful. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that, like any Carl Sagan project, it's going to be imbued with this message of hope and wonder.
Yes.
So I think it was meant to be soothing. Yeah. And I think it did it. So I would give it a 3.
Love it.
This I don't know for sure, but this might be our first 3 in soothing.
Yeah, I feel like it probably is.
Yeah.
There's no way Valerian was a 3.
Absolutely not. But yeah, so that means that it gets an 11 VLA dishes out of 15, which is pretty good. Yeah. And
pretty good.
We might be in the minority hating the romance between Ellie and Palmer, but I stand by our assessment. Great. Awesome. Well, I would recommend this movie if you happen to have not seen it. And if you've already seen it, I'd recommend a rewatch because there's no way you remember all of the 2.5 hours of this movie.
There's just simply not possible. So, Enjoy it wherever you are, whether it's driving a car in a weird way or hurtling through a wormhole. Remember, you are space.
Sure are. Pale Blue Pod was created by Moiya McTier and Corinne Caputo with help from the Multitude Productions team. Our theme music is by Evan Johnston, and our cover art is by Shay McMullen. Our audio editing is handled by the incomparable Misha Stanton.
Stay in touch with us and the universe by following @PaleBluePod on Twitter and Instagram, or check out our website, palebluepod.com. We're a member of Multitude, an independent podcast collective and production studio. If you like Pale Blue Pod, you will love the other shows that live on our website at multitude.productions.
If you want to support Pale Blue Pod financially, join our community over at patreon.com/palebluepod. For just about $1 per episode, you get a shout out on one of our shows and access to director's commentary for each episode. The very best way, though, to help Pale Blue Pod grow is to share it with your friends. So send this episode, this link, to one person who you think will like it, and we will appreciate you for forever.
Thanks for listening to Pale Blue Pod. You'll hear us again next week.
Bye.